Come on in. All right, we got the mic going. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Breakfast with Disaster, where we tell you about all the worst things that can happen so that you can avoid them. We are live every Tuesday at 10 a.m., and we are from SERVPRO, and that's how we know about all these horrible things. My name is Dan Bauer. This is Chris Montz.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Yeah, Chris was on last week, did his first solo show. So
Yep.
you'll be seeing a lot more of him. Yeah, squeeze in. Come on in.
Trying to.
We'll get cozy, yeah. It's a little cozy. Oh, man. If these cardboard cutouts will fall right on you, it's very creepy. So keep an eye on the video here. We are in the first week of August, and every time we get a first week, we do a little something called the Disaster Forecaster, which is a fancy crystal ball way of saying that we look back at about a decade of data from SERVPRO, just to figure out like what the heck is gonna maybe go wrong this month, because we've seen kind of a little bit of everything. And August is not really a surprise to us. Ooh, we got some people joining. Got Diane, Hallie, Lisa, other people hopping on. August is not really a surprise to us. And here's why. It's the biggest month we have for mold. It's when we see the most mold projects come up. It about doubles compared to your average month. Any guess why that is?
I would think just heavy rain.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, maybe not this particular month, given the drought we've had, but yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah. Mold is a living thing, right? It's like us. It has needs just like us.
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen that like pyramid of needs?
Yep.
Humans need like food, water, shelter. They need friends. They need family. Mold's a lot simpler. It needs oxygen, which is hopefully pretty much everywhere. It needs a food source, which is basically anything that's kind of organic.
Yep.
Cardboard, drywall, dust on your floor can grow mold.
Yep.
Old cheese in your refrigerator, whatever. All that can grow mold. And that kind of the X factor that makes mold happen is
Oxygen. Oh, you
did water.
water, yeah.
Moisture.
Yeah.
You just said it.
Yeah.
That's the thing, that if you have elevated abnormal levels of moisture around, you're pretty much guaranteed to have mold growing at some point. August is kind of after the highest rain months of the summer. In Buffalo, we have higher precipitation months for sure. They're usually October, November.
Mm-hmm.
You get later in the year, you get snow.
Yep.
Right now, you have rain. You've said we've kind of been in a drought. We've had like heavy rain, but we haven't had steady rain.
Correct, yeah. And when we do get it, it's like a large amount in a very short period of time.
It just explodes out of the sky. You see that rain, and you see average humidity sort of going up and getting higher in August. Between those two things, you're going to see a little bit more mold. When you see this, and I think this is sort of the meat of what we want to talk about, and I've got a picture of like a moldy wall here.
Yep.
You see something like this. Should you panic?
No.
No.
People tend to over-analyze or self-diagnose the situation.
Yeah.
Where you're better off just calling a professional.
Right. It's like the WebMD effect.
Exactly.
And that's pretty common. That's kind of common throughout the U.S. In New York State, we decided to make things more complicated because people panic about this and they don't know about this, and we decided to make a law about it.
Yep.
So here's rain, and here's a beautiful picture of Niagara Falls, New York State, right? So 2016 is when this all happened, and who's all here? Jackie, Melissa, Lynn. Guys, let me know if you're here so I can make sure you get your proper prizes. We're going back to 2016 right now. New York State Article 32 goes into effect, and this was the first step here, and we're one of like a very small amount of states that have any sort of law like this. The step towards kind of regulating the mold remediation industry similarly to how we regulate the asbestos abatement industry.
Mm-hmm.
Not nearly as severe, but the state coming in and saying what you can and can't do. And in simplest terms, this is a licensing law.
Mm-hmm.
Requires that professionals involved with assessing and remediating mold, they have a license. Not only that, but they be totally separate entities. And here's why. Molds, to begin with, is one of the most misunderstood things that we deal with here. And some people will go into a panic. They see a black spot on the wall and they think they're going to die. And some people, kind of the flip side of this, and these are the people you would dare to eat things at parties, but they'll say, like, lick the wall if they see mold. Dip their nose in it. Which one are you?
You can't put me on the spot like that.
Can we dare you to eat something? I guess that's not a fair
Depends
question.
how much money. No.
Usually the answer lies in the how much money. Answer is usually in the middle somewhere, right? It's probably not going to cause you to immediately die, but you probably shouldn't be licking it either. but you have folks like this who work in this industry. And this guy still works in the state of Illinois. And this is a video that they show in mold remediation classes of this dude licking a bunch of mold spores off a wall. And he's doing this to prove that they're dead and they're not dangerous. And he's 100% wrong.
Lovely.
But these guys exist. And in New York State specifically, we had Hurricane Sandy. By the time it got here, I think it was just a superstorm.
Yeah.
Just a superstorm. But 2012, devastating internationally, but in New York City and New York State, it really hit us pretty hard and kind of crippled the infrastructure, tons of water damage, and also tons of mold growth because of it.
Oh, yeah.
And you saw tons, especially of out of state, just kind of fly by night, contractors coming in, and they would say, hey, mold's invisible, right? It's a spore. It's floating around in the air. I've got this special meter that will tell you, oh my God, your house is infested. We need to gut all your walls. We need to clean all the joists. We need to pull up all your flooring. Guess what? I can do that for you. I can rebuild it for you. Sign this contract right here. Let's save your family.
Yeah.
And these guys were not all that ethical about this. And I would say most people were. Most companies that came in after Superstorm Sandy were. But there were a couple of guys like this wall guy who...
Did he get affected by it?
Was he affected by this? No, because he's in Illinois.
Oh. No, I meant as far as after he licked the wall.
After he licked the wall, I believe he's still alive.
Okay.
And so you have something like this happen. You have companies coming to kind of prey on people. And so New York State decides to pass this law. There are kind of three things that you guys should know that may affect you, especially as insurance agents, people who may deal with somebody who's dealing with mold or water damage or whatever. Three things that are really important about this law. One, the mold assessor and the mold remediator have to be totally separate entities. Because otherwise you would have an incentive for people. Conflict of interest for people to trump up a problem that doesn't necessarily exist. Number two, if there's more than 10 square feet of growth present and you're coming in explicitly to clean that up, to remediate that mold, it's classified in New York State's eyes as a mold remediation project. And there's a very specific sequence of events that have to follow. First is getting an assessment done by one of those separate assessment companies. We had Chris Stoll on here a couple weeks ago. He's at Stoll Environmental. They are a mold assessment company. They write assessments. And when they write assessments, they cannot be the remediator as well. That's why it comes to us. Those people have to come in and write this full plan, which we then turn into a full scope of work. And it can be pretty detailed in terms of how you set up your containment, how you remediate the mold, what you do. It can be 50, 60 pages of instruction trying to figure out what to do. So number two, if there's more than 10 square feet, that's when it becomes a mold project. You have to get a test. And number three, anybody who breaches this law, and I know that people do skirt around it as best they can sometimes. Anyone who breaches this law could face suspension of their license. It could be a felony conviction. They could be fined up to $10,000 a pop. I don't know that that's ever actually happened in New York State.
No.
It's not really a well-enforced law.
No.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't follow it. So yes, one, mold assessor and mold remediator have to be separate entities. Two, you got more than 10 square feet, you're going to need an assessment. And number three, if you break that rule, you're going to end up paying a fine if you get caught.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah,
now,
of course.
Does this vary quite a bit state to state? As far as,
so there's very few states that have laws like this. And Kathy, we will call you. We were just talking about you. Morning Betty, morning Nikki, morning Megan. Jana, we got everybody here. Jennifer. Lynn says, I have a customer decide to bleach it. We'll talk about that in a second. Yes, it varies a lot to state. I'm not totally familiar with every single state, but generally the only other state that is this heavily regulated, and I believe this goes for asbestos as well, is California.
That's exactly what I was going to think.
It's New York State is the kind of the main one that has put these rules into place.
Sure.
And it's been an adjustment. I mean, this is still relatively new. It's not even 10 years old that this law came into effect. And some people follow it pretty closely. I know we do. Some people don't love it and try to skirt around it. You get a kind of a spectrum.
Especially in some of the older buildings, too.
Yeah. Well, you find 10 square feet of mold. What does that even look like? What is that? What even counts as 10 square feet? Like a ceiling, your average, just so you guys know, like your average ceiling tile is probably, it could be like 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet, maybe like 5 feet by 5 feet, depending on the tile, if it's square. So you're looking for 10 square feet. You're like, if they're 5 by 5, you're like 4 of them in a block is 10 square feet. It's not a huge spot, and it doesn't have to be continuous. So that can cause things there's a little bit of a judgment call there. You're not taking out a tape measure and deciding 10 square feet or not 10 square feet. You can make a judgment call, and assessors will do this where if it's not continuous, you can classify it as kind of like multiple minors and get around the law. Because generally it's much easier to not have to get an assessment and be able to remediate it.
Absolutely.
But the law exists so that people can't just do that and take advantage of people.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's consumer protection. This is basically consumer protection. It's not that New York State knows the best way to do this. It's just that so many people took advantage of so many people. So somebody had to put something together to weed out the riffraff, more or less. Lynn, I want to speak to your point before we get into the drawing here. So Lynn Shevlin here mentioned that she had a customer decide to try to bleach their mold. And this is a pretty common myth. In fact, I was going to do my whole Mythbusters thing. I think we've already talked about it. I don't want to beat a dead horse. But bleaching mold is one of the most common things that people think you're supposed to do. And I've talked to people who have been in facilities management, like really high up, for decades, and that's still kind of their go-to move, especially if they're dealing with it maybe at their home and they're not subject to a lot of these laws and regulations. Bleaching mold is not totally ineffective, right? It can inhibit growth, it can kill spores, but bleach itself is certainly not the like gold standard of mold remediation. Here's why. A couple of reasons. One is it's not even EPA certified as a antimicrobial. There are products that are much more effective. You can buy them at the store. Just look for the EPA seal. Bleach is technically classified as a laundry additive. And given it's a laundry additive that can inhibit growth of mold, if you bleached a load of whites and you left it in the washer for a couple of days and forgot about it, it won't smell musty when you take it out because it has kind of inhibited the growth of microbes on there. Versus if you just use like detergent, it's going to smell terrible. It's going to have microbial growth already started. So, but it's technically a laundry additive. It's for laundry. Bleach is also mostly water. Like a bleach spray you would buy at the store is mostly water. So what you're doing is you're taking a spot that is already growing mold because you have some sort of water problem, and you're adding more water to it.
Doesn't sound good.
No, it's not. You're adding more water to that system, and you're basically only affecting the surface of that system. So if you're dealing with like a porous material, which a lot of people will find mold growing on like drywall, you're not even dealing with what's inside, behind, if there's any water behind, if this is a bigger deal. You're just bleaching those surface spores, and you're also maybe
covering them up, basically.
and you're not may not be remediating them. And this guy, mold wall guy, we love him. His point is that you can ozone. He ozoned these spores and decided that they were dead and that they were safe and you could lick them, and he's dead wrong. There's lots of microbiologists in the comments of this video telling him how wrong he is. A dead mold spore can still produce an allergenic effect, a potentially serious one, just like a live one can. So this bleaching and killing the spores doesn't really do the trick. It's not totally ineffective. It can still have some effect, but geez, most people who go to the bleach, if they have a little bit of growth, especially on like a windowsill or something, they'd honestly be better off like with a little bit of detergent, like Dawn dish soap or something. Just getting that surface spores out, seeing if it comes back. Because another thing about mold, and I think this is an important point, is oftentimes when you have mold, it's not the real core issue isn't the mold or the microbial growth itself. It's like what's going wrong with my house or my building or whatever that's causing this moisture issue, that's causing this to grow. That usually is far more serious than a couple of black spots on a wall. You've got a water leak, a roof leak, a pipe leak, something happening that you should be addressing before it gets worse. And if all you're doing is spraying and wiping, you're not really dealing with the problem. So bleach, fine. It can be effective. I wouldn't use undiluted like gobs of bleach because that's also caustic. It's bad for you. You don't want to be breathing it in.
I was just gonna say you probably don't want to be standing over bleach all day either.
Goodness no. No, especially undiluted stuff. Usually when you get it in a spray bottle, it's already diluted. It's ready to use. It's not too serious, but that's when you're just adding water to the system. So very, very common, very, very common thing that people think and try to do. Not what I would recommend. Oftentimes, like I said, just a little bit of Dawn dish soap. If it's a little bit of cleaning that you're doing, way more effective than spraying a bunch of bleach on it and hoping for the best. If anybody else has any mold questions, you can pop them in the comments. You can ask me. I am going to get to, I think, the prize drawing.
Sounds good.
So we've had a lot of new joiners here in the Mug Club. We are kind of re-recruiting. So if you see us out there, you don't have a mug, let us know. So this is the prize drawing. Let's bring up the wheel. Get this mold wall guy out of the way. So how this works is we have something called the SERVPRO Mug Club. You get, and Chris has been out on the road, and how's it been going?
Good. I probably got about 25 new members.
Okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys have a little bit more competition for the prizes, because the Mug Club is this. You get a coffee mug with a number on the bottom. I register it to this here spinning prize wheel, and if I call your number, you get a prize, and if you're watching and I call your number, you get a double prize, which is fun. The only way for me to know that you are watching is if you comment, say hi, hello, talk about the last time you drank bleach or something. I don't know. But it's the only way I... So if you haven't said hi yet, leave a comment. Let us know you're here. And I say we get to spinning. Good luck, everybody. Here we go. Around and around and around and around. Ooh, and I am cut off from seeing that. What is it? 39? I got to drag my window over. Oh my goodness, the suspense is killing me. 339. So that is going to be... Ooh, Missy at Larry and Savine Allstate. So Missy, I don't know if you're on today. I know Lynn's on. We will be in contact about your prize. We're a little bit backlogged on the prize, guys. Chris is going to kind of run out and do a whole route and get everybody their prizes. So if you've won recently and you haven't heard from us, you will hear from us soon. Missy as well, we will be in contact. Good to see everybody. Good to hang out with you. We will be back next week with another edition of Breakfast with Disaster. If you have any mold questions, let us know, and we'll see you soon.